On Tuesday, May 31st, we went to Bath, where we visited the Roman baths, the Bath Abbey, and went on a walking tour in the rain.
Did he ever tell you what was on that?
Dad got up early and went down and worked on his computer in the indoor solarium.
Just talking about yourself.
Yeah?
That was the first thing that happened.
Yeah, we're on to today.
And then,
It's fun. It's like the adding a sentence to a story game. Then we all met for breakfast in our normal dining room spot that has been designated for us.
Rose told us to see something.
Oh, I think she wanted us to go through Castle Coombe, which we ended up not going that way, unfortunately. But we did go through Tetbury, which is where Prince Charles lives. Is that what she said? I think it was Prince Charles, yeah. On our way to Bath.
1776.
Oh, yeah, when I was reading the sign on Monday night in the park about the monastery that used to be in the park behind the big church in Cirencester, I read that it was built in 1176.
What was the last thing you told about today?
Breakfast.
You described breakfast?
No, that won't count, just that we were at breakfast.
Well, they have very good scrambled eggs. Though the cookedness of the eggs is often hit or miss on whether it's too cooked or... Dad says always too cooked.
You have to say sunny side up. You said sunny side up.
I got sunny side up. It was good. Warm and hot, but good. Next, we drove to Bath.
While listening to Project Moon Lab.
Listening to Project Moon Lab, where David was exceptionally boisterous. In boisterous. Expository. And Julia navigated and didn't get us lost or do any wrong turns. Maybe that's not true.
I don't think we did any wrong turns.
We didn't do any major wrong turns. And she didn't get too scared. And neither did I. Mom did crossword puzzles.
And looked at the countryside and the sheep.
Well, you have to say that.
Let's see. Then we got to Bath, and Dan did a really good job driving little tiny roads where it was supposed to be two-way, but one car would fit.
Did we ever?
And we paid 20 pence to use the bathroom and traded off so each of us got in without having to pay another 20 pence, but the door then would not be locked if somebody wanted to get in. But for boys, that doesn't matter because we're facing away from the door anyway. So you just turn around. Sorry.
And we're friendly.
Okay, we're still going. We're good.
Will we be able to dictate all of this?
That's going to be a huge...
So the next thing we did was walk from the Charlotte Street car park to the Roman baths. And there was a bit of a line, but it wasn't too long. And then we got our audio guides and went in and explored the Roman baths.
That was quite a lorry.
Dan squeezed my arm meaningfully and then handed me this recorder. We got to the Roman baths, and it was a museum that you wander down through with an audio guide, and one of the audio guide narrators was Bill Bryson, and I thought his things he had to say were very intuitive and interesting and related to what we were seeing, which was nice. And
One thing I liked from that museum were the curses, which were little pieces of lead where unhappy citizens would hire a scribe to write down bad things that happened to them and the list of people they thought may have done it. Yeah, what has happened to them? And then they would throw it into into the bath. In the bath. For one of the gods to punish the accusant.
And then we also had a free guided tour where we found out some interesting facts about the pool. And also, this one fact that we're still trying to track down which part of it is true. But listening to the recorder, it said you're standing in the northwest corner, and this is where a house was built, and the house had water coming into their house, and so they dug underneath, and that's how they discovered that the Roman baths were underneath the Victorian, was it? No, it wasn't Victorian. Anyway, we're still trying to find the details about that fact.
And then we went to lunch at
Sally Lunbuns.
Sally Lunbuns, the fact checker. And we climbed up very narrow stairs to our third floor table, and all of the meals had a tasty bun under them. Toasted. Some were toasted. Mine wasn't toasted. No. Third floor. I said that.
In the oldest house
in the oldest house in Bath. We had tea that was loose, so we had to pour it through a strainer. And then we went to
Bath Abbey, where we walked around and looked at the enormous stained glass windows. And, well, first we purchased our tower tour tickets. And we looked at the fan vaulted ceilings and some of the memorial markers of various people. And now it is Julia's turn.
And then it was time for the tower tour. I'm holding it too close to my mouth. And so we started off for that. It was a total number of 212 steps? 220? How many steps was the total tower? 212 steps in the total tour, but we first went up 120 steps, and we were up on the roof then. And then we went up another level, and we were in the bell ringing room. And then we went up a little bit more. Oh, no, then we got to break off into half and half, and we saw the inside of the clock, and the other group switched with us, and then we saw actually where they keep the bells. No. What was the other thing we saw?
the bells.
No, we saw the top of the vaulted ceiling and the hole that you could look down, and they told us a story that when the bell ringers are there for a wedding, they peer down through the hole, and when they see the bride and groom walking back down the aisle at the end, they run back to the bells, and that's how they know when to play.
And so it turns out that they have only 10 bells, and it's not a chromatic scale, it's a major scale with no sharps or flats, so you're very limited in what you can play.
But they did play once Poker Face by Lady Gaga, apparently.
Never again.
The church people did not like it. And then we went up and we saw the bells themselves, and they were quite old. The framework of the bells was made of wood, and it has been there since the 1600s, early 1600s.
That's what she said. This is where we like to say. And the tour guide said, this is the point in the tour where we like to say our bell framework is older than your country.
Next, we went up Scrutely stairs, 212 of them. They got narrow at one point. There's a water valve. I don't know why. Something with World War II. I think it was bombed. citationated. And then we got all the way to the top. And right when Dad almost dropped his umbrella,
I thought it was a drink.
strike that last sentence. When we got to the top, it immediately started raining, but nevertheless, the views were splendid.
At the top.
And Dad has something to add.
The other end. And as you get to the very top of this flight of stairs, we have got some stonework sticking out on our right-hand side. I will remind the person behind me, do pass that message back so everyone does watch out for their heads, also shoulders. Makes that exit a tiny bit narrower, but it does signal you have reached the top. Finally, if the person in the back can shut all the doors behind them, that would be really helpful. We're currently suffering from a pigeon problem. I'm sure we need several of them on the way up, but that would be a massive favour. So if nobody's having any last minute second thoughts or has any questions, no. When you're ready, please do follow me on up.
No. That was 100. How many steps? 120. 20. Okay. And now we're on a roof. Overlooking Bath.
So the high altar and that big single center down at that end.
I knocked my camera.
So when you're ready, please do follow me into the ringing room. Do just watch out for your footing on our steps and your hips on the lift. Admittedly, this device on the front is a little bit newer. It dates back to December last year. As long as we've had our two barrels in use, some of the pins are missing. So we aren't 100% sure what tunes will have been on the barrels. So we are slowly but surely trying to figure out using this device from the front.
Nessie, there's like 20 steps, and there's another one behind the door.
Okay, right. Sorry everyone.
I think it's not like an hour and a half bus ride after this. I don't want to make a mess. Or rather,
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Make a mess.
I know, so I'm going to slip, so I'm going to do it like
People
this.
just like back up. Like,
Sorry guys.
Quite startling. Should I add a movie?
That's a good sign.
Ready? Look at me.
White skies, white. That's a dove, eh?
Stimulate the birds.
All right.
They release those at weddings and stuff.
enjoy the views.
Hey. What would you call that thing over there, bro? Yeah, because they put them on the grass and trees, which we don't have. That's more, so.
And at the top, the very top, the furthest away from the entrance, I had to go to the bathroom. I thought momentarily, I saw the drains from the rain. And I thought, if I'm the last to leave to close the door, I just close the door and stay up there. But I didn't.
As we were getting ready to go down, the lead tour guide called back to the tour guide at the end of the row and said, "There are pigeons in here fighting in the stairwell." At first, she didn't say they were fighting. She said they were in love. And then she said they were fighting. And then she was too afraid to get them out. So the tour guide at the end of the line tromped across the roof to go in and get them out.
And she was able to shush two of them out, but there was still a third one in there that wouldn't go, so she screamed at it.
Never heard her scream. She screamed when she was getting up to shush it.
So they decided to reverse our direction, much to my consternation, having to go to the bathroom, down the other spiral staircase, 200 and some steps, all the way down. No, I guess it was only 120 steps down.
More treacherous.
But I made it.
Say that about the way down.
We all made. Oh.
You said the way down was more.
Oh, the way down the Scroodle squares was more treacherous than the way up.
I agree.
Then we went and used the bathroom in a Starbucks. And right now, we are sitting in Crystal Palace Pub.
Where we've ordered various drinks, including what is this? A Fuller's beer and some Swedish, very sweet, strawberry flavored cider.
TNT.
Some tonic, tank and tonics, and a Cabernet. And now we
are going to turn this off.
We should just do 360 VR of that walk.
We should do a 360 here at the table. It would be tricky. We'd have to share turning it. So after the Abbey, after the tower tour, we came to a bar called Crystal Palace and had 3 separate starter plates. One was Bertinet breads, oils and olives, a trio of flavored oils, sun-dried tomatoes, cured meats and local cheese board, which had pancetta, salami, prosciutto, chorizo, blue cheese, soft cheese, bath soft cheese, olives, sun-dried tomatoes, Bertinet sourdough, and finally the bar board, which had Cornish orchard cider and pork sausage roll, black pudding Scotch eggs, pork pie, pork scratchings, applesauce, and piccalilli. So after dinner at the Crystal Palace, was it? We had a very, very, very soggy 2-hour foot tour through Bath.
I would say it began as a rainy. It was just misty.
It began as a rainy, fun tour of the historical sites of Bath, but then by the end of the second hour, that was the description.
And then, as soon as we finished the tour, the rain let up. And everyone was very nice and didn't throw things at me for dragging them along in the rain for almost 2 hours.
Adam got a little too wet and went back to the car. We should have given him a phone, but forgot to do so, and then started thinking, what happens if he can't find the car? What would he do?
What would you have done?
I think that if I wouldn't have been able to find the car, I would have found some locals. Because I did walk. I walked.
What would you ask for?
Well, first, do you know where the big car park is?
Big car park.
And then if not that, I probably would tell him that I'm a lost boy.
So did you know we were going to end up back at the
Car?
church again?
No. Probably, and then if that didn't fail, I'd just find the local authorities. And then turn myself in as a lost boy.
But I got to thinking, what could you do? And one thing would be to find a computer somewhere where you could check your email. And then you'd be able to find the phone numbers that I sent out to everybody. You'd be able to call us. That's what I had sort of envisioned would happen.
I envisioned that he was
I also envisioned that he would not find the car park and then not be able to find us again. And I envisioned that you might just think you'd keep finding us and just wander for like 2 hours and explore Bath.
I didn't envision anything. I just worried.
I'm sorry, Mom.
I'm sorry, Marcia.
So then, after we got back home, Adam was hungry, went out and got dinner, but unfortunately it required a microwave, so he could not eat it. Dan plugged in his phone charger crooked and blew a circuit in the hotel.
At the last place, we actually did park a little bit on the sidewalk and partially on the grass on purpose, and it was really weird until the last day. She came out and looked our first day because we said we have a wheel still on the sidewalk, and she said it'll be fine. But the last day we had to move our car because she had run into the constable, and she thought he would get mad and give us a fine, so we had to park and block people in the driveway and repeatedly.
He swung his spaghetti arms at her as an intimidation method.
So Rose went on a walk. As I was down, I got up early, went downstairs, worked on my computer, and she was leaving for her walk. And that's when she saw the constable. When she came back in, said, "Oh, we've got to move your car."
She had to tell us. Does the blue lightning still before you?
So when, after Dan paid, I saw Rose in the hallway, and she said, "Oh, I have to tell you goodbye now because I have an appointment. It's for me. It's for my facial."
We may have stolen a pin that was holding up one of the corners of her map of all her guests, because she was gone when we wanted to place our pin, and she said she would leave some pins in the board for us, but her employees couldn't find them, so they just gave us the one that was holding up the bottom left corner, and we stuck it kind of over a large section of all of central Illinois.
I also stole a roll of toilet paper.
Off the map.
What did you say? I also stole a roll.
And we forgot to sign the guest book.
We forgot.
I don't know how they had the toilet paper rolls that were unrolled but still tucked in the top. So you untucked it and then had to get the glue off. So they bought the rolls with a little bit of, or they made the rolls themselves, or they bought rolls and then stitched on a little one square. Does that apply?
I'm thinking that they just pulled it out of the trash can and re-rolled for the next person.
Yeah. Well, since it's like a two-ply, they peel it apart.
Oh, that makes sense.
So the dirty part goes back in the trash can, and the good part gets
Reuse.
woven.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
She was just like, just park up on the like basically the side. There was like a paved path along the road. There was basically a sidewalk. She's like, just don't have any of your wheels on that, and we're fine. And we could not fit the minivan on that without one wheel on path. And she's like, it's fine. Until the last
Until the
day.
last day when she ran into the constable in town.
And he was like, you
And
gotta
she
get
was
that
like,
wheel off.
no,
of that.
he hadn't seen it yet, but she knew that if he was walking around, he would see it.
And she said, "Can you get a big ticket?"
So she made us
From the
move it.
constable? Was the constable like a tall, round
never saw
helmet? And he was really bendy legs.
His arms and legs were too.
And he ran, him and his sergeants ran around bumping into each other a lot. They all tried to get into a phone box at the same time.
Saying, "Away, away."
Yeah.
So we entered through this little garden.
That's where we saw the full moon.
What full moon was it?
Hazel man's crack.
He was like maintaining the little koi pond. It was like a fountain of koi in it.
But I feel like he had to have pulled his pants down lower than
But
was
his
just
pants,
necessary
his pants
for
were
him
up
to
pretty
be
high. I really conjectured that his crack went halfway up his back.
Yeah,
They also had the slowest skate in the world. You put in the code, like,
Yeah.
well, we got things to
He
do.
never won an emergency. He had to wait. It was like it took maybe 30 seconds to be wide enough for a person to fit.
Yeah.
It was a really
We had
Sweet
two
little
rooms.
place.
Like you went up some stairs and we had 2 rooms there
Across
on
the
the
old
landing.
Very
building.
creaky stairs.
Yeah, very
Slopey.
curved
The
floors.
floor was
You're always off
Waves.
kilter. The shower was really tiny. Your elbows would hit the wall while you were washing your hands.
I mean, we're making it sound like not good.
No,
it
it
was
was.
really nice.
It was.
powerful shower. Yeah, it was
Powerful.
really strong.
It had a heat dial.
Oh, yeah.
0 to 10. And anything past 1.5, 1.75, scolding.
I think it was 0.5, wasn't it?
So
I feel like
I
I turned it to
understand-
1 and
yeah.
it was too
What
high.
was 5? Like lava.
I've never tried it.
Yeah.
It's way too loud.
I'm going to switch this to interview mode.
And we had Trey,